just want to introduce the topic of our discussion today. This isn't really going to be me speaking. This would kind of suck if it was just me talking the whole time. So I'm going to encourage some discussions amongst us and amongst our small groups. We're talking about leaving brand deals and not relying on them in our careers as finance creators. So death of brand deals, that's the hook, okay? But going beyond that, we're going to talk about offerings and what things we can do to help our audiences, our communities, and how we can sell it and how we can create offerings that are irresistible to our communities. Fancy. So by raise of hands, who here already has an offering and has launched it? Hands up, nice and proud. Great, I don't know why you guys are in this talk. No, I'm glad you guys are here actually. This will be great. It's all part of the discussions we're gonna have, but also you within this talk are gonna have more clarity on what you can do to improve your offerings, as well as what additional offerings you can give to your audience. Okay, by raise of hands, who here has an idea for an offering, but hasn't quite launched it yet? Hands in the air. Great, okay. And then who amongst us wants to launch something, but we don't have an idea of what we're going to sell yet? Hands nice and proud, up in the air. Great, perfect. All right, we got the whole span of the whole length here. So, what the heck is an offering? Well, that's a pretty open question. There are so many possibilities of what an offering can be. These are offerings provided by just one creator. We're going to go a little more into depth on some of these offerings listed out here. And if he shows up, I'm not sure if he's here, George Camel is going to help speak on some of the offerings that we're going to list out. But obviously, offerings can come in many forms. They can be a software. They can be an app. They can be a membership, a paid community, a cohort, an online course. So many different options out there. And by the end of this talk, the goal is to give you some clarity on what offerings you can provide. So let's rewind really quick and talk about where this information is coming from and who's doing the research here. I was a big fan of YouTube growing up. Like you can see some of these old golden age of YouTube 2010 videos of just cringy stuff that you don't want to go back into. But I'm not one of those people who would say, I don't know, you can make money off social media. Like I always knew you could earn money off social media. I was such a fan of all those old creators like Niga Higa, freaking Smosh, Ray William Johnson, if you know the name. But in 2021, after messing around on social media, YouTube for a long time, fast forward many years, I ran into this guy on YouTube and TikTok. His name is Sean Rizwan. He made content going out on the streets, and if you remember this trend, he was asking people, what song are you listening to? And that struck me as like, one, I felt like people who, no shade thrown to Sean, I thought people had to be like super talented to be online or like posting on YouTube. But this guy, like, he just went out, asked people a simple question, and it made me wonder, like, why in the world is this popping off so much? And I realized, like, this was a question, what song are you listening to? This was something that people could answer for themselves. It was relatable to everybody. Everyone has a taste in music. Everyone can compare to this. And so for me, I felt that was like a great fit for me in building my own social media and building my own YouTube channel. And big part of the reason why this stuck out to me is because what he was doing was something that I was very used to doing, talking to people on the streets, approaching strangers, getting in some crazy conversations, because for 2 years of my life after high school, I was a missionary for my church. Like, usually they're white guys, but no, like, that was me. And I was doing this in Las Vegas, Nevada, and literally every day, and no, this is not a stock photo, this is actually me there. And we would knock on doors every day, and for 2 years, like, we would go through great lengths in the hot sun of Las Vegas, and I would talk to people who were at their door, just on the street, and just inviting people to do something. And in the case of being a missionary, it was inviting people to grow their faith, if that was something they were interested in. So me knocking on a door wasn't me like, pushing anyone to do anything. It was just me giving people the opportunity to make an informed decision. But for me, those 2 years, I had a purpose every single day. Like every morning, me and my mission companion would wake up at 6:30 a.m. We knew what our purpose was. We had a direction at all times. And of course, we got used to rejection. But we did have a lot of successes. We were able to teach a lot of great people, meet some people, and help grow their faith if that was something that they wanted to do. So back to this guy. By the time I finished my mission, I ran into his videos, and I thought, wow, I could do this. Like, let me just go out and let me ask a question myself and do this thing that I've been doing for 2 years. Now let's just record it. And from there on, I went ham on the man on the street content. I asked questions from, of course, you steal ideas at the beginning, like what song are you listening to? That developed me developing my own question of, what's your phone wallpaper? Popped off, crazy. And then I transitioned to something I was more passionate about, which was personal finance. So these videos went viral, and it grew the channel a whole lot. I was a viral sensation at the time, let's just say that. But we're gonna go back to this on why this might not be the best approach when it comes to extending an offering. And even at one point of my, my social media growth, there was a month where I went from 1,000 subscribers on YouTube to 100,000 just from shorts. And we'll talk about why that's both a good and a bad thing as well. At the time too, brand deals were my primary source of income. I had my fair share of back and forths with different brands, negotiating, re-editing videos, trying to stay aligned with their brand while staying true to mine. So obviously Charles Schwab, Checkers, NerdWallet, Audible. And over those next 3 years, I grew over 1.5 million followers across the platforms and had earned over 250,000 over the last 2 years with just brand deals. But there's always a fear when I was going throughout my career that I still even have today. Like, what if brand deals just stopped? What if brands run out of budget? What if the economy crashes? What if people realize social media isn't the best way to push their products? What happens if, companies shut down or take too long to make payments? I know we all struggle with those net 60, net 90 payment schedules. Those are pretty annoying as a creator. So let's talk about why brand deals are a nice thing. One, you earn a lot for doing pretty little work. Like, honestly, we all know that feeling when we had our first brand deal. Anyone open to sharing what their first brand deal was? You don't have to share the name of the company, but like what kind of product it was? Yes?
Mine was a credit card.
It was a credit card company? Solid. Can you share the rates?
Yeah, they paid me $500 for the video and then $500 for the usage to like whitelist it, so $1,000 total.
$1,000 for one video? Poof, crazy, right? Okay, what do you got?
I did like a financial literacy app, and I got paid, I have no idea, I got paid $75 for the promotional video reposted on 2 platforms with whitelisting rights for a whole year.
Wow, 75 bucks. For a financial literacy app. All right, respect. We all start somewhere. Anyone else? First brand deals in the back.
My first brand deal was with a nonprofit that does credit counseling. They paid me $800 per post.
800 per post?
It grew, my post went viral for them, and so they made a bigger deal for $25,000.
Whew. That's great. Wow. Kudos. All right, let's get away from brand deals. Just kidding. No, you keep rocking with that, girl, man. If that's working for you, that's good. For me, my first brand deal was a candle. They DM'd me off my email on TikTok, and I got paid that candle. It's great. It was free, Okay, so let's talk about why brand deals are not so nice as a long-term form of income. One, brands might not be aligned with us and our values and what the messages we have on our pages. Two, brands might not give us the creative control that we want. I've had, like I said, plenty of times where people would say, let's switch up the video, change the concept after I already filmed the thing. Three, there's different conflicts of interest that can come with making videos for certain brands, and your audience can see right through that if you're not actually passionate or using that product or service. And then 4, those dang payment schedules. Like I said, net 60, net 90, the worst. And most importantly, brand deals are not consistent. Okay, so in preparation for this talk, I was able to speak with Tiffany Alish, or the Budgetnista, OG in the finance space, and she told me that we're here for a long time, not a good time. Meaning she was kind of calling out some of the excited younger creators who are hype over the brand deals, who are kind of here for the good time, but aren't really setting themselves up for long-term success. And so if you're sitting here, whether you have just 1 follower or over 1 million followers, if you don't have your own offering, we're all pretty much in the same boat on borrowed time. And then once again, this session wouldn't be so good if it was just me talking. So let's talk about things that'll actually help us, like the reason why we're here at FinCon. I know for me, it wasn't so much sitting down and listening to people talk. For me too, if I just get information from FinCon that I can read off a book, I won't really get the most out of this experience. Or if you bought a ticket out here, you can just read a book to get this info. So I'm not just gonna spit out things that I read in a book and reiterate it to you guys. If you do want a book though, here are some recommendations. If you want to start thinking of brands and thinking of offers and how you can launch it to your community, I'll give you a quick moment to take that picture. But here at FinCon, we're here because we want to connect with other people. We're here for inspiration. We want to hear real stories from people who are actually doing it, actually killing it out there. We want to also have guidance for our own unique situations. We want to ask those questions that are only unique to us. And 2, we also want to share and serve others by sharing the wisdom that we've gained over the last year since last FinCon, or if it's your first year, then just what you've learned throughout your career. So in this presentation, we're going to have the opportunity to do all of those things. And by the end of this discussion, you're going to have a lot more clarity on what your next offering will be or what your first offering will be as well too. And we also have some great people that are going to help out who have been killing it with their own offerings within this presentation as well. So recently, I did pay someone to help me clarify what my branding is and my messaging is, $2,500, just to pay a copywriter, an expert, someone that knows about, has worked with brands before, who knows how to clarify messages and will help me share an offer that's actually valuable to people. And I want to share some of that wisdom with you guys today too. So we're going to go through 3 points today, 3 phases. We're going to talk about first how you can know your audience better, 2, how you can clarify your message, and 3, how you can choose a delivery method for your next offer. I try to do presenter view here, but that would be a spoiler for you guys, so I'm kind of going based off what the slides are coming up as well. Okay, so there's an issue with going viral. Like you said, you can get a bunch of numbers, you could blow up your subscriber count, your follower count, but what I found is after going viral for all these man-on-the-street interviews, people weren't watching for me, they were watching for this guy. They weren't watching for education, they were watching for entertainment. It's a great way if you want to just get exposure or increase brand awareness or just get the dopamine hit of a bunch of numbers, but it wasn't useful for me in the long run. And I'll share more on that later when I made my first offering. That's why this year I did make a pivot. In January this year, I decided to not make so much content on the streets, me talking to strangers. I shared more of myself and what my wife and I do to be frugal. Frugal living is a big thing that's important to me, as well as financial education and as well as building wealth and growing your income. And so although I took a hit on views, my community hasn't been as strong ever before. More DMs are coming through, more comments are coming through, more people are actually sharing with me that these videos, this content is really helping them, which is really helpful when you are priming your audience up for an offering launch. So within your small groups, something that I did when I was making my pivot in my content is I focused more on the problem versus the entertainment or the content. I focus more on what problems my audience is actually facing, and even just the problems that I hear when I talk to my friends about finances. And of course, the reason frugality was so big for me is because, prices are up right now, people are finding ways to save and cut costs, people feel like they're in this paycheck to paycheck cycle, and so I made my content surrounded around those problems. So within your small groups, I want you to discuss amongst yourselves what are the 2 to 3 problems that you see amongst your audience, or what problems you want to help people resolve. And if you can break off in like pairs or groups of 3, that'd be great too. And I'll give you the next 3 minutes to discuss, and then we'll come back together. Dennis. Cool. All right, guys, let's bring it back in. Bring it back in. I hear a lot of great discussions. We'll come back. Perfect, perfect. All right. now that we've discussed some of the problems we face, I want to hear from you guys. What were some unique problems that you heard that some of these creators are addressing? Raise your hands. You can put your hand up. Open to sharing. Yes.
Clients don't know what they don't know.
Okay. Expand.
People don't talk about money with their families or their kids or whatever. It was taboo for many generations, and now it's becoming more popular, but still there's no communication, so nobody's taught them anything. So they don't know that they could invest or that they should be investing or saving for the future. They just
Love that. Yeah, the lack of transparency, huge problem. Probably a lot of us face too. Any other unique problems or challenges that you heard in your groups? Yes.
Here at the Boston table, we talked about not knowing where to start, like when it comes to your money. Like there's so much out there that you can do to invest or organize your money. Also thinking that there's too much of beginners to even start, like going getting more information to even consider starting, and align with what we said earlier about not knowing, not having anyone to even ask certain questions, maybe your first generation household, and
Yeah, I love that. There's different levels to this. Like some creators might really help in that beginning stage. Probably my content, just about saving money, frugal living. And then there might be more complex creators who can go into more investing topics and things like that to address that problem. And then one more. Yes.
I would say maybe around confidence. So bridging the gap, we talked in our group about give people lots of information, but they don't have the confidence to take that next step from knowledge to action. And so finding a way to help them move forward.
Yeah, love that. The mindset behind it too. Not just the action, but like being confident when you do those, make those steps. And so we have these problems now, and we are here to help guide people, coach people through. You know, we're not, I don't like using the word gurus, right? Like we coach people, we guide people, we help and serve those people. And there are unique things about you that make you the best fit for that person that has that problem. And so we're gonna break off into groups again, but this time we're gonna address the question of like, what unique parts of your personality or your experiences will help in solving these problems. So huddle back in the groups for the next 3 minutes and just think about like what makes you unique or what makes your experience helpful to resolve these problems. Okay, perfect. I know we probably didn't get through everyone's unique personalities and everyone's unique experiences, but let's bring it on back. All right, once again, hands up if you want to share what someone else shared, so you don't have to toot your own horn. All right, like what are some unique experiences or what are some characteristics you've heard from other people that'll help them resolve issues and problems? Hands? Yes.
We had an eldest daughter at this table.
Solid. There we go. Yeah. And how does that background help in the problem solving?
Eldest daughter syndrome.
I have all brothers. I'm sorry.
They're the responsible ones. They're teaching the family how to move forward, and then that translates to the audience.
Big time. Thank you. Yes, over here. That's great. No, especially as creators, we might be finance creators, but taxes are beyond our scope of expertise here. Any other unique personalities? Yes.
So interesting observation I noticed at our table was about half of our creators here, our audience resonated with us because we do have a certain level of experience or authority. Whereas the other half, the audience resonated because they don't have that experience. They're kind of more, relatable and more I fit in your shoes kind of thing. So it's interesting to see that kind of dichotomy there.
I like that. I feel like a lot of people are intimidated or hesitant to launch their own offering because they don't feel like they have enough experience. They're not the expert. They might be in their early 20s or late teens even too. But all you really have to be is 1 or 2 steps ahead of the people you're helping when you're going to launch something. So I love that. Love all the remarks we got going on here. And so let's dive deeper into knowing our audience. How can we get to know more of the problems and the issues that some of our audience are facing? It's okay, let me ask you guys, for the people who did launch an offer already, how did you research your audience's pain points? Just an open-ended question. Yes, in the back. Read the comments? Actually read them? Crazy. I heard it's toxic in there, man. Okay, any other ways, research methods?
So I observed the behavior of the people that I wanted to serve. So I just kept noticing a certain thing that maybe they were doing up or was a pain point, and that was where I focused.
Nice. Yeah.
Just it could be a conversation, it could be comments on social media, but I would talk to people in a communication that I noticed was important.
Love it. Yeah, I was about to ask, how did you observe these people? And a lot of us are probably coaches, finance coaches, so we're in one-on-ones all the time. Yes. Yeah.
Oh,
Yep.
okay. I know, for me, my target audience is, people like me. So, I also examine, what are my pain points? And also, I read DMs, and a lot of people DM me about, their personal situation. So then, I see a common thread, about what people are asking, and then I can make, I guess, a digital product, yeah.
Love it. Yeah, I like that. Even evaluating yourself. Oh yeah, I'll reiterate. Yeah, it's for people who, you don't have to go towards other people to observe and research. Sometimes you just look inwardly at what your pain points are, especially if your audience is maybe just talking to your younger self. Great. All right, so I want to call out one of the creators in this room, Gabe Bolt. Let's ask this guy how he launched his offering. He has a YouTube channel with over 500,000 subscribers, and he focuses on minimalism, personal finance, and just lifestyle, productivity. But he decided his offering wasn't going to be about any of those things. He decided his offering was going to be a YouTube coaching program. And I had a chance to speak with him before this event to ask why he decided on that offering. Because when he first launched it, it wasn't some fluke, but he was able to make over 67,000 on the first launch of this new offering for a topic he doesn't even really talk about in his channel. He just lives. And so we'll go into part of this interview here. My it's my cringy office, and then it's Riverside. Sweet. Okay. Hopefully it works. It doesn't.
Why did you end up choosing on this?
We all can
to be your
read
offering?
subtitles.
Yeah, so I did a YouTube
Oh,
like
nice.
Although your main topic was on like minimalism, finances, lifestyle, why did you end up choosing on this to be your offering?
yeah, so I did a YouTube like post to my community, and I was like, hey, if I could coach you on something, what would it be? Because I was like, I've been doing this for like 4 years now. I need like something to sell my audience, and so I had like a bunch of people apply. I gave them like a link. And then I set up like 20 one-on-one 15-minute phone calls with them. And I was expecting something like finance related or minimalism related, decluttering, something like that. And like 75% of the people, almost everybody that actually showed up to the meetings, were like, I'd love you to help me, get my YouTube channel in a better spot. And it was like the last thing I was expecting, but that was pretty much all anybody wanted from me. And then I'm like, okay, I guess I'll try building this, and kind of went forward from there. It was not at all what I expected to land on, but it worked out pretty well.
What kind of questions did you ask these people on these one-on-one calls?
It was pretty much like what are their struggles right now? What are they looking to accomplish? Their dreams, like their things. Like I was just looking for pain points in people's lives that I could, kind of cure. And most of them didn't have enough money and wanted kind of the lifestyle that I was living, and saw, because YouTube was the way I got it, or one of the ways I got it besides the frugal living and the house hacking and stuff. Mm-hmm. They saw that as the way out, and that's why a lot of them were thinking of doing it, or they were small business people and they wanted to, grow their business or whatever.
Perfect. Man, Gabe, yeah, your setup's way better than mine. So, just like in the video, he set up one-on-one calls. He put a post out to his community on Facebook to initiate that conversation with them, and he just straight up asked them, like, what are you struggling with right now? How can I help you? And just coming with that attitude of just service to his community. And so I jumped the gun earlier this year. I launched an offering. It was a paid community. Me and a partner did it, and combined our followings are like 2.1 million followers across platforms. But like, sleep better knowing you're financially secure. Like, all right, who am I addressing here? I have no idea. It's very vague, very general. And so when we launched this, 36 people signed up in the community. But a great 36 people. It's great like roots to start. But I know we could have done a lot better if we took a little more time with our audience research. And simultaneously, while we were doing this, I started one-on-one financial coaching again. So I did have this opportunity to talk to my audience. And while that paid community was going on, I was doing these one-on-one coaching calls, and I realized my followers, they had specific needs that we weren't meeting with this offering. And a lot of them reaching out to me were more people who were just trying to break out of the paycheck to paycheck cycle. They weren't thinking about investing yet. They just wanted to get out of credit card debt and save up their first $5,000. And so now I'm learning, and now I'm evaluating my own messaging here so that I can launch something later on, probably at the early start of next year. And so when we launch our offerings, right, there's one side of it, which is our audience's pain points. There's the other side where we are part of this equation, like our expertise, our experiences, our passions. And then right in the middle is where we find an offering that aligns with both us and our community too. So once we have an idea now, like, I'm glad I'm seeing some people jotting down notes and getting some ideas here. We can talk about how we're now going to present our message, or like through what medium do we want to serve people. And just as we said at the beginning, there are so many ways that we can offer something. It could be through an app, a software. It could be through group coaching, just like Gabe. But for you guys, let's talk about not stuff we're going to sell, but let's just think about the things that we've bought in the past, okay? So just to shake things up, I want you to stand up if you have ever paid for one of the following. We're going to call ourselves out here, okay? So stand up if you've ever paid for one-on-one coaching or mentorship. That's a pretty good lot there. A lot of people investing in themselves, great. Stand up and stay standing if you're already standing. Stand up if you've paid for an online course. That's pretty much almost the rest of everyone. All right, and then stand up if you paid for a community or accountability group. Or stay standing if you've already stood up before too. Yeah. And stand up if you paid for a software. We got Kajabi representing here as well too. Great, all right, stay standing guys. And last but not least, stand up if you've paid for a conference / networking event ticket. If anyone's sitting down, dude, we gotta escort them out because they didn't buy this ticket. All right, awesome. Thank you guys. All right, you can all be seated now. So obviously we've all bought something. We've all expected some value to come from someone else's offering. And honestly, I think if you are a good buyer, you'll probably be less hesitant to sell something too. Like if you don't buy anything and then you decide to sell something, it's probably harder to price yourself. And as an Asian American who doesn't really spend money, it was tough for me initially to like create a price and to sell something because I'm like, why would I pay for that? Okay, so let's talk about, let's hear from the GOAT herself, Tiffany Elish, once again. Didn't get her on a video call, was able to do a phone call, but I wanted you guys to have a chance to listen to her offerings and the different methods she used to share her message and to help millions of people as well too. So I'm gonna back out of this. And this is literally like a snippet of our call. She let me record this, so this isn't me being weird.
My communities, but I guess for me, my very, very, very first offer was like one-on-one.
Mm-hmm. That was my voice. Did you hear that?
With so many people, but then, that's not scalable.
Yeah.
And then I went to one-to-few. I remember.
So she said her first offering was one-to-one, which was not scalable, so then she went to one-to-few as her way of offering.
My second offer was I worked with the United Way, and I wrote a financial curriculum for them. And I had they were like, okay, can you teach it to the community? And I had 5 people, then 10 people, then 20, then 30, then 40 people who came to class once a week.
Mm-hmm. So one-to-few, she wrote a curriculum that she shared within an organization to help that organization's financial literacy.
So that's when I realized, ooh, one-to-one, I can spend an hour. One-to-few, I can spend an hour and make more.
Yep.
So that was kind of my first I can build something and, make, spend the same amount of time doing it, but then make more. And then my second offer was learning to offer myself up for speaking. My first major speaking gig was at a college. One of my friends, his brother became the president,
All right, we'll stop it there. It's not super clear, but she went from one-to-one to one-to-few to one-to-many by doing speaking engagements. She realized that was a way. And then from there, she created an online course, which she eventually sold to a ton of organizations, government organizations, even ended up getting some financial education required in the state of New Jersey too. So first of all, the first 3 offerings, they all took 1 hour. It took 1 hour to do a one-on-one call. It took 1 hour to do a one-to-few discussion. It took 1 hour to do a paid speaking engagement, but obviously she was able to price those things differently because of the way that the message was being shared. And so these are all just to give you ideas, get things churning in your mind. And I also want to share with you another OG in the finance space to help give you some inspiration, and it's actually from Ramsey Solutions and the offerings that they provide. And so George is actually here. He's actually in the corner there. But George, let's talk about some of these offerings, if you're open to sharing. Let's talk about, first of all, do we have a mic? Oh, dude, I hooked you up with the mic. You can chill at your chair, though. You don't have to.
Yeah, I don't want to steal your thunder. Plus, I don't need a competition with those muscles, man. Okay, here we go. Can you guys hear me okay? All right.
Perfect. So one offering is the Financial Peace University. What's the offering and who is that targeted towards?
Yeah, that's the flagship money course that Dave's been doing for 30 years now, and it started as in-person. It was 13 weeks at first. They scaled it down to 9 weeks, and it's still in person, and you can do it online, so we've scaled that to be an online product as well. But that truly is our most transformational product. If there was one thing I would tell you to go do, it's Financial Peace University. And so that now is something you can just sign up for online, pay for it as a one-time course, and you get a year.
Oh yeah, yeah, my wife and I did it. Okay. One thing is, okay, the Entree Leadership Summit. That's a live event. Who is that directed towards?
So Dave built the Entree Leadership brand after he started scaling the business, and people wanted to know how he did it. Other business leaders would come to him saying, "What are you doing?" And so he would lay it all out, and then it eventually became an event, which eventually became the book Entree Leadership, which then scaled into different events like Summit, where we have outside speakers. We have Master Series with Entree Leadership, which is more our team, our own leadership team. And so that's really for small business owners and their teams to grow and scale their own businesses.
Love it, yeah. Same brand, but a B2B offering now. And then we have, on the bottom right corner, Foundations of Personal Finance.
Yeah, we found there was a big gap in schools with financial literacy. And as you guys know, there's more and more schools mandating personal finance. And so we've been iterating and updating our curriculum over the years, and that we're now in 50% of the high schools in America, trying to, lead with a very controversial take. Debt freedom, no credit cards, pay cash for your first car, avoid student loan debt, all of that good stuff. And so that's been really fun to see the transformations. People, teenagers DMing saying, "Hey, I'm going to pay cash for college because of you guys," or "I paid cash for my first car." So that one is geared towards schools and, of course, students, but you can't market to students. So you go after the teachers and the administration.
Love it. Perfect. All right, those are great. Then there's so many more offerings after that, right? Like, we didn't even scratch the surface here.
There's a lot going on.
Perfect. All right, I'll just take the microphone so you're not in there. All right, so once again, more ideas, more tangible, real-life situations that have actually, that you can get inspiration from as you create your own offerings going forward. So let me check the time here really quick too. Let's make sure we're not overstepping our bounds. Oh, 1 minute left, great. All right, let's skip over to the very end here. I want you guys to write down, like, what is one small step you can take this week to move forward with a future offering, maybe just in your audience research, or your very first offering as well. Like, what ideas do you have? But what is one small action you can take? For example, it could just be putting out a post like Gabe did to his YouTube audience to figure out what their needs are. And as you're writing, is anyone open to share what small action they want to take? With the pen.
Well, I'm working on creating my whole online guide on how to travel to Japan without breaking the bank. And I'm here to talk to Bingdip and Kajabi and all the other course creators about how to.
Sweet, yeah. And for people who can't hear, she's creating a guide so that she can teach people how to travel to Japan on a budget, pretty much?
Yes.
Okay, great. And so she's going to go out and talk to some of the software people here like Kajabi on how she can put that out into the world. Any other ideas that people have come up with? Yes?
Yeah, I'll try to be loud, so I don't have to ask you to read it. So you mentioned earlier a lot of content creators trying to figure out a way to create an offering. And that's actually what I do. I create software for money coaches, fully white label. They can use it with their audience. Rev share, right? It's a way to generate income, run an offering. So my big step is trying to talk to as many coaches, get feedback, see how we can improve, and get some folks onboarded for the next couple days.
Love it, dude. Yeah. Get the feedback, find the pain points.
Nice shirt, by the way, dude.
Oh, thanks, man. All right, and two more. Let's get two more before we wrap this up. Yes.
So right now I have coaching calls directed towards my audience, but I haven't made any videos saying that I have it. So I'll be trying to make a video explaining that the coaching calls are now live.
Perfect. Great, great. All right, and then last one. One more. Oh, Mark. Oh man, there's a ton of authors around here. People I've worked with publishers in the past. I know that can be a monster in itself. All right, I hope that you guys, as you go throughout this, I know that as you take these small steps towards getting more clarity on your offering, as you learn more of the pain points, you'll actually create something that won't flop like I did earlier this year, and you're gonna create something that will actually help a lot of people at scale. And thank you guys for coming here. Appreciate y'all.